Thanks, Isha. Thanks for introducing me. I really appreciate it. Get my camera on. Thanks. Welcome, everybody, to this webinar. I'm humbled to have Zisha introduce me. Let me get up and share my screen so we're all on the same page.
I think you're good.
Okay.
You're good.
Let me get on that. Okay, there it is. Okay. So I hope everybody sees what I see. The topic, as you all know, is I'm going to discuss with you today. Let me just get the chat screen up. Okay, I got it. Second. How come I can't have both? Can't have the cake and eat it. Give me 1 second. Oh, okay, I got the chat screen. Thank you. Okay, so I'm here today. I'm going to share with you great information. I have worked with thousands of people to help them be able to really grow their business, move it to the next level by learning how their own mind works, how the mind of their employees work, how the people that work for them work, how the whole psychology, if you were, Tony Robbins, some of the big gurus in business growth, in personal development, the work-life balance, and helping companies achieve the next level in financially, the next level in growth in every single way, at the same time helping people in the organization themselves grow, become bigger, love what they do, enjoy work, have fulfillment at work. In order for all that to happen and take place, what he basically found, which is across the board, is that 80% of business is really psychology, 20% is mechanics. And I'll explain you why. Because everybody knows how to do what they need to do. Everybody knows how to lose weight. You basically got to go to the gym every single day and you get a ripped body. If you don't eat, you eat very little, you're going to wind up losing weight. Everybody knows what they need to do. If somebody's a salesperson, they need to reach out and make more sales calls and so on. The only real way for people to do it, what they already know, most likely, most people know they can get advice. I remember one time I was at a course from David Lichtenstein, one of the biggest real estate owners probably in the country. And I kept on asking questions and asking him more information. And at one point he says, Ben, you already know enough to make your first $1 million. Go out and make $1 million and then come back, we'll talk again. I mean, that's really the idea for everybody. We all know what we need to do in a very, very big way, yet for whatever reason, we cannot follow through on a consistent way, day in, day out, to be able to make it happen. And I'm here to share with you some of the challenges as to why we cannot, and more importantly, to be able to help you be able to achieve it and do it. So I asked to send that they sent out, and I believe they did send out this workbook that you see on your screen, because what's most important to me is that you actually are able to apply it, utilize it, use it, and make this change in your life rather than just gaining this information. I believe you have more than enough information to earn millions of dollars. Now the question is why you're not following through and making it happen. And the reason is because 80% of that challenge is psychology, 20% is actual mechanics of your business. I think it's even more, that's to go from okay to good. When you're already good, and I'm assuming people that are on this conference are here, they invest in themselves, they want to become better, so they're already good. To go from good to great, in my opinion, is 100% psychology, because you're good already. You know what you got to do, you know how to do it, because you got yourself here. So now the question is, how do you move from good to great? And that's what we're here to discuss today. So the way I explain it basically is the idea of growing out of your comfort zone. Okay, comfort zone is where you feel safe and secure, where you're today, the way you're performing today, the way you're doing today, that's where you're okay, that's where you're comfortable. Now we're talking about how to stretch out of your comfort zone, how to go into bigger and a greater space and perform on a new way. So let's talk about that. Let me move right into my presentation and share that with you. Okay, number one, at the end of the game over here, the reason why we're here today, the reason why we're in business, period, is we want to do better. I'm going to break down the process of breaking through your current comfort zone where you're now, going into a new, better, broader place that's more financially rewarding. It's basically 7 steps. So the 7 steps are on your screen. Number one, we have to understand the benefits of change, because in order to do anything, we first have to understand what we're trying to accomplish, the benefits of what we want to accomplish, and fully comprehend it in our heads and in our heart. The second part is awareness of the challenge. In order for me to create change, I need to be aware of what my challenge is, what the problem is that's holding me back at this point. Number three that we're going to work through is I need to clarify my desired outcome. It can't just be, I want to make more money, because then if you made a quarter, you already made more money. So it has to be very, very clear, because we do have a supercomputer between our ears, our mind, that's so powerful. It's the same machine or computer that anybody used to create billions of dollars. They have the same technology, same computer. And so in other words, whoever made it big, whoever is more successful than you, whoever's ahead of you, use the same technology. They simply understand how to use it better. And that's what we hear today. But the first step is you need to plug in your desired outcome and have clarity so your mind could then take over and do its part. Once we get clarified where we want to go, now we need to recognize the solution. What are the new skills that we need to learn that we don't have yet to apply that into our life? Okay, the 7 steps to the process, are they on the bottom of the screen? Does everybody see it on the bottom right of the screen, right over here, 7 steps? Give me a second. Okay, so something's wrong with the technology here, so you're not seeing the correct screen. Give me 1 second. Let me go back to the presenter screen. Okay, thanks for pointing that out. Went too far. I don't know why I don't see that. Okay, now everybody got it. Okay, could somebody give me feedback? Do you see it now? No. Okay, where is my Zoom? Is it up there now? No. Give me 1 second. We'll get this all squared away, and then we'll be good. Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so now we're up and running. So there's the 7 steps right there in front of you. Step number 1 is understanding the benefits of change. Step number 2 is awareness of the challenge that exists. Step number 3 is to clarify your desired outcome, what you want to achieve. Step number 4, where I'm up to, is the solution, the new skills that you need to know to be able to make it happen, to be able, what you're missing currently that needs to happen. And the next step is motivation for change, meaning to say, just because I know what to do, there's many things. Everybody knows how to lose weight and get their body in shape. I need to be motivated and get myself to follow through to be able to make that change. Step number 6 is actually the process of change. Once I'm motivated, what do I need to do to make it happen? Step number 7 is reinforcement and accountability to make sure that I continue doing what I know I need to do to be able to continue making it happen, so I have it on a consistent, on a regular basis. Okay. Now let's start moving pages. Here we are. Okay, so here we start. Now I got it all set up. Financial return. So the first thing is that you need to know that studies show that 1/3 of the time you're simply out of your game. 1/3 of the time you simply are stressed, overwhelmed, lost, jammed, and not performing and not doing what you need to do. Now, that adds up to a lot of time, because if we look at a 250 workday year, means to say 83 days you're not being productive. Now, if we were able to return that 83 days to you, it would be amazing as to what you would be able to achieve. Basically, you'd be able to give yourself a 50% raise at the end of this year if we were able to make that happen. So that would be amazing. So if we could accomplish today and we could return, simply teach you how to manage stress, overwhelm, anxiety, different emotional things that get in the way from you being able to perform, we would already be able to give you a 50% raise this year, which means basically every 4 years or every 2 years, you would add another year to your life financially. So the first thing is I want you emotionally to get this message, and that is, if you're looking at the workbook, the idea would be, which you could work through on your own, what would you be able to do if you had the extra money? Because one of the challenges is, just because I know something doesn't mean I'm going to follow through. We don't make any decisions in life, period, based upon logic. Logic doesn't dictate anything. What you know is not what you do. The way you make every decision in life is based upon emotion. Emotions make every decision in life. And once we make the decision with emotion, we then justify it with logic afterwards. Nobody drives a BMW because they need a car to get to work. Logically, you should just buy a Honda Civic. The reason why people buy BMW is because they feel good emotionally. That's where they buy it. Now, once they buy it emotionally, they can justify why they bought it, the benefits that it has, and all the great features and the safety and so on. But the ultimate decision was made emotionally. We need to make an emotional decision that we want to change today. Because when you make an emotional decision is when things happen. When you make a logical decision, like losing weight or going to the gym or making more sales calls or creating a better culture in my business, in my office, it doesn't change. What you need to do is change it here. So this exercise, the first page, is basically to be able to recognize the benefit of me changing. Why should I? Because I'm going to be able to do these things if I had the extra money. I'll be able to. So I have a list of 10. You can do a lot more. But the first concept is to be able to do that, to realize the benefits of changing. So you get not just your mind on board, you get your heart on board. Okay? Once you know that, the second part is becoming aware of the challenge. So there's something called a comfort zone, which we're all very aware of, and that's where we feel comfortable to hang out, where we feel comfortable to be, and where we spend our time. Now, if this is just for the sake of this example, let's see if I can get this to right. Pen. Okay. If this is your comfort zone, so let's say draw an X right there, that's where you are. And that's where you're comfortable, and that's where you hang around, and that's where you do everything, and you're very, very good and safe and secure. And you live there most of your time. But probably where you want to be financially is there. Now, it's outside of your comfort zone, but you want to have that in your life. The problem is that if it's not in your comfort zone, you will not have it, because your brain has a mechanism that it doesn't let you easily get out of your comfort zone. That's why people don't change spouses every day, businesses every day, religions every day. Just because you hear something or get excited about something, you don't pop out of your comfort zone. It keeps you safe and secure from outside forces. But over here, you purposely want to break out of your comfort zone. You want to be able to move and get somewhere else. You want to grow your comfort zone, because over here is more stuff that you don't have in your life. Here's even more stuff that you don't have in your life. And if you go out here, there'll be even more stuff. Now, the beauty of breaking your comfort zone is that if you break out of your comfort zone and you go from this circle to this circle, you don't just gain this little thing, this point, you gain everything that's that far away from your comfort. That means it'll affect your family, it'll affect your relationship with Hashem, it'll affect everything in life, relationships, business, finances, because you became a bigger person. In other words, comfort zones are circles. Circles stretch. If you stretch a circle, the whole circle stretches, not just a little bit. So the beauty of the idea is that every work you put in one area of your life is going to make a massive difference in the other area of your life. But if this is your comfort zone, that's all you could do. So the challenge is I need to make my comfort zone bigger. If I want to grow my business this much, I need to grow my comfort zone into one circle. If I want to grow my business this much, I need to grow my comfort zone into that circle. If I want to grow my business this much, I need to grow my comfort zone even more. So right now, for safety purposes, you're in a comfort zone. And the goal is going to be to break out of your comfort zone. That's the first reason why there's a challenge being able to make substantial change. The second reason is balance. In other words, you have, the way I divided this up, this wheels, right? You have career, family, relationships, fun recreation, health, money, personal growth, and your physical environment. Now, you could do this for yourself, but just for example purposes, right? These all go from a scale from 1 to 10. So let's say I asked you, how would you rate your career? And you say you rate career at 8. Family and friends, all the way up here. Let's say your marriage, for argument's sake, you rate here. Fun and recreation, you go all the way up to a 10. Health, let's say you rate it here. Money, you rate here. Personal growth, now I know that whoever is on this obviously is tuned into personal growth, we rate here. And your physical environment, let's say, you rate over here, okay? So this is your life. This is how good you would rate it. Now, if we turned this into a wheel, just to connect the dots, okay? Now that's the wheel of this life. Now, how good could that wheel roll in life? And the answer is, it's not going to do a very good job because the whole wheel is lopsided. And if our life is like that, meaning to say we do well in one area of our life, but we're failing in another area of our life, it's not going to be sustainable. The only way to sustainably make progress in the wheel of life is if everything is balanced pretty much. So then it's a healthy wheel and the wheel rolls and you keep on making progress. However, if it's so out of balance, it doesn't work. So it's better to bring your life into balance over here, even though it's a smaller circle, sorry for that, and then grow it, snowball effect to a bigger circle and a bigger circle, rather than being totally out of balance. Because when life's out of balance, it's very, very difficult to make progress to move forward. So again, just to review, those are the two challenges. Number one, comfort zone doesn't allow us out to grow. Number two, life being out of balance. And the goal today is going to be to get those things in order by working through the process. So step number 3 is awareness of the challenge. So let's go a little bit further. Why do small business owners and business professionals have fear, which holds us back from growing and doing what we got to do and moving forward? Because here are some examples: volatility of income, fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of calling, fear of asking for business, fear of missing quota, fear of pushing past the no, fear of having to say no to yourself, fear of losing yourself, fear of being humiliated, and so on. So if you don't mind, just that you engage and you're with me, could you just write down one fear that gets in your way, that's standing in the way of you being able to follow through, move ahead, and play life out the way you want to play it out? Live by the way you choose to live, perform the way you know you need to perform and want to perform. What fear is getting in the way for you? So you become aware of the fear. I'm going to move along quicker just that I can cover this process. And then, of course, you can always review it. You have the workbook. You can do it in a more detailed way, but at least you understand the framework in our 40 minutes that we have here. So you get something that you can actually use, make a substantial and massive change in your life. Now, once we know what I'm afraid of, now, how do I turn off fear? So this is the step of to clarify my desired outcome. Now, knowing that I have fear, knowing my problem is useless. Everybody knows their problem. And the challenge for many people who go to a coach or go for therapy is talking about, I've just read the question. Yes, and I'm going to get to that. So when you have fear and you know your problem and people go to talk to somebody, whether it's a coach, whether it's a therapist, and they talk about their problem, they know their problem, they understand their problem, it's useless, because knowing where you don't want to go doesn't help you be able to go where you want to go. So let me give you an example, right? If you get into a taxi and the taxi driver asks, where do you want to go? And he's the greatest taxi driver. He has a GPS system. He can get you anywhere. And you answer, not here. How long is it going to take for you to get to your destination? Now, what's if you're a very, very informed, person, and when the taxi driver asks, where do you want to go? Your response is, not New York, not New Jersey, not Pennsylvania. How long is it going to take for you to get to your destination? Forever. doesn't help to know what you don't want, because your brain is a supercomputer, a super taxi driver. It can get you anywhere, whatever you could conceive. Your brain can help you achieve. It's unbelievable. People create a vision and they make it happen, right? I mean, like the famous story goes, when Bill Gates signed his contract with IBM to deliver an operating system, he had no idea how he was going to do it. He relied on the supercomputer between his ears to make that happen. He just made the commitment. He had a vision as to what he wanted to create. Your brain is a supercomputer. It'll make it happen. I use different examples when I meet people one-on-one. For example, I'll get them to imagine a pendulum moving, and they'll move it with their imagination. Anything that you can imagine that's physiologically possible, you can do. You just have to know what you want. I could say, having worked with more than 1,000 people one-on-one, the one thing that every one of them failed on is when I asked them, so what are you here for? What do you want to accomplish? They all told me where they do not want to go. They all told me what they do not want. Knowing what you don't want does not help you an iota. It's the equivalent of trying to think of the color blue, trying not to think of the color blue. So trying not to think of blue, all you're going to think about is blue. Telling your mind what you don't want doesn't help. Think about it, right? If you drive a car and you get on a bridge and there's two guardrails on the two sides, what's your goal? Not to hit the guardrail. But where do you look? You look straight. If you look at the guardrail you don't want to hit, what's going to happen? You're going to hit the guardrail. So you can't look where you don't want to go, because what's ultimately going to happen is that's where you're going to go. That's the way the brain works. If you look in a certain direction, that's where you go. That's why we're taught when we learn how to drive a car that if you find yourself steering into a skid, look out of the skid. Look where you want to go. So this part of it is to clarify your desired outcome is 10 ways my life will be great if I overcome my fear. Not I'm not going to have fear. Not I'm going to be able to make calls and not be afraid, because that's what you don't want. What we're looking to create is what you do want. So you're going to write down, I'm going to get up in the morning and feel X. I'm going to meet my employees and feel X. Reach out to a bank and feel X. Come home and feel X. We're talking about how do you want to feel. Now, even though I just explained you what to do, and you're going to fill out these 10 things, chances are that most of you are still going to write what you don't want. And just review it and remember what you want to know is a clear visualization, clear picture of what you do want. So that's clarifying your desired outcome. The next step is understanding the difference between your logical mind and emotional mind. This is the solution. This is a new skill that I'm here to teach you today. It works totally different, your logical mind versus your emotional mind. Let me give you an example. If you tell your finger to touch your nose, it touches your nose. It never says, no, I'm not going to touch your nose. It cooperates. You also don't have to give detailed instructions to your finger, which muscles, at which angle, to which degree should touch your nose. It just does it because you give it a clear instruction. Nevertheless, when you tell yourself, be confident, be calm, be relaxed, be serene, it doesn't listen. Why is that? Who is the sailor of this ship? If I'm the boss and I determine when my hands move and I determine what I do, how come emotionally I'm not the boss? I don't make decisions. The answer to that question is you are the boss emotionally. It's just a different set of rules that you need to tell yourself when it comes to giving yourself a logical and physical instruction versus giving yourself an emotional instruction. And actually, they're the opposite. So I'm going to give you a quick analogy. Imagine I take a road plate, A road plate is what they use to cover the road when they do construction in New York City so cars can drive over it. Okay, so you have one of these road plates, solid metal, 5 foot by 10 foot, pure solid, and I put it down on the floor. I'm sure everybody on this call would be more than happy and feel safe to stand on it. Why not? You practice standing on this road plate, and after a lot of practice, I say, "Are you comfortable standing on that road plate?" You say, "Yeah, I've been doing this my whole life." I just make one change one variable. I take it, I stick it out of the 80th floor of the Empire State Building, out of the window, over 33rd Street into the building across the street. That's it. And now I ask you, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Road Plate Stander, why don't you get up on that road plate? And you say, I say, why not? What's the big deal? You just practice. Why can't you stand that road plate up in the air? And you say, it may fall. Okay, I'm going to bring the engineering team that built every single bridge that you go on a regular basis, and they're going to substantiate it's 100% safe. Are you willing to stand on it now? Still not. Why not? You may say, maybe I won't feel well. Okay, I'm going to bring the whole NYU, and they're going to substantiate you 100% healthy. Are you willing to do it now? Still not. Why not? Maybe a wind's going to come, or okay, we'll bring the whole meteorology team of all the biggest and best, and they're going to substantiate no wind. Are you going to do it now? No. I can sit here and logically clarify every single bingo objection you're going to come up with. You're still not going to do it. Why not? Logically, it's 100% safe. The answer is there's something deeper than logic, and that's called emotion. Emotion is driven by imagination. Now, you looked at and you say, hey, Halpern, what are those little squares down there? And I say, oh, those are buses. What are those smaller squares? Those are cars. What are those little black dots? Oh, those are people. And then you see a little red dot that's on the floor. That's you after you fell. And all logic goes out the window. Now you're playing in a whole different game. Now you're being affected by your emotions. The way we control our emotions is not by thinking, it's by imagination. If I was able to get you to imagine yourself walking across 100% safely, then you would do it calmly. And that's how the people that walk on tightrope and do these stunts, they rehearse it in their minds a bunch of times until they emotionally get their emotions on their same page. But it's a different set of rules of how you run it. Let me show you with this fascinating Harvard study. They did a study. Don't ask me why they studied this, but this is what they studied. Who's happier 12 months later? Somebody that wins a $500 million lottery or somebody that becomes a quadriplegic? Again, somebody that wins a $500 million lottery or somebody that becomes a quadriplegic and can never move again their hands and feet in their life. You know what they found? 12 months later, they are both equal. They both come back to the baseline. So in other words, this is the emotion. So somebody that wins a $500 million lottery rides up, great, and they're back down and back to the baseline 12 months later. Somebody that has a terrible tragedy helps to them. They ride their tragedy, and 12 months later, they're back to the baseline. So every single emotion, fear, worry, tragedy, 12 months is the longest. Most things go much quicker. So really, any emotion that happens, you stick with it, you stick with it, you stick with it. Let's take a simple thing as getting used to a cold swimming pool. You go into the swimming pool, and your brain says it's cold. So the goal, what you want to do is you want to move from this side of the fear or discomfort or challenge to the other side. So you get into the pool, and the brain says it's cold. You start riding up to discomfort. Your brain says, it's cold. You ignore it. It's cold. You ignore it again. Maybe it screams again, and then the brain says, you know what? You're not listening anyways, and all of a sudden, it's no more cold, and you're free to swim. This is how every mosquito bite, you get a mosquito bite, your brain says itch, you ignore. Itch, you ignore. Itch, you ignore, stops itching. This goes on with everything. So this person gets a $500 million lottery, he gets used to it. Goes up, 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 and then it goes down. If you want to pass any discomfort, all you need to do is allow it to go. But what people do is they don't allow the natural process to roll. They block it. They don't allow it to go. They put a block in, which doesn't allow you to ride this wave one time, and then you're free by watching motivational content. So we avoid doing what we need to do, saying I don't have enough knowledge, so I don't try, doing distractive things like organizing my office, overthinking, checking email, pushing things off to later, procrastinating, talking, getting food, stalling. And all we do is we don't allow ourselves to simply get used to whatever we're uncomfortable with. But really, there's no such a thing as an emotion that we cannot get used to. We can learn to live and get used to any emotion in the world whatsoever by sticking with it and rolling with it. And now, why would I go through the process of getting change? So now I need motivation. In order to create motivation, you simply have to recognize that there are two motivators in life that dictate everything we do: pain and gain. We move towards pleasure and we move away from pain. Every single advertisement has the same message. If you buy my product, use my service, you're going to get pleasure. If you don't, you're going to miss the sale, you're going to lose out, and you're going to have pain. So in order to get ourselves motivated, we need to come up with 10 reasons why you'll experience pain if the status quo remains. I'm not going to have the house I want. I'm not going to have the relationships I want. I'm not going to have be able to do what I need to do for my children or for myself or for my community. Whatever is pain for you. I'm going to let down my employees. I'm going to let down my supply, whatever it is. You make a list of 10 reasons why you're going to experience pain if the status quo in your life remains. And that's what goes on to this. You recognize that the pain is the labor pains of the birth of the new you. In order to do it, you need to have pain. The process, there's no shortcut. In order for you to make progress, in order for you to go from one side of the bell curve to the other side of the bell curve, there's no way. In order for you to create something bigger, you need to ride a wave of pain. You don't have to stay with pain. Once you ride it, you're on the other side. But you need reasons why what's going to be the pain if you don't follow through. Once you know that and you have the motivation, now comes you need to do something consistently. It's what Chazal teach us, you have to open a hole the size of a needle, and the rest will come. It'll become a massive, big door that everything will be able to fit through. That's how the mind works. You need to do something, but the only trick is that the hole of the needle has to be through and through and consistent. So I urge you to learn and to test the idea of the bell curve, to prove to yourself that if you do something that's painful and you don't block it, it will pass. You will be able to ride it and won't have that problem again. So I urge you, in honor of this call, you took the time to do the call today, prove it to yourself. Commit to make one phone call as soon as you come into work every single day, before you take your coffee, before you say hellos, before you do anything. Commit a certain amount of time a day to make calls or to organize. Whatever you need to do that's difficult and you're pushing off, there's a bunch of examples here: prospect, sales touches, doing something, building a list, creating a script, creating a monthly sales plan, whatever it is. Whatever is difficult for you, write it down and do something for 1 week every single day, which means for the next 5 days, 7 days, whatever your week is, I want you to write down one specific thing that you're going to do every single day that's hard for you. But even though it's hard, do it for 1 week. That's all you need to do, is keep on writing up that bell curve. And you're going to find it's going to become easier by the time 5-7 days come. You won't have that fear, that pain, that thing holding you back. And you'll have got from one side of the bell curve to the other side of the bell curve. Now, let's talk about reinforcement accountability. Okay? So this is what's called the success cycle. I'm going to go through it because I'm tight for time. So I'm just going to put one letter in: thoughts, emotions. I have the words on top: actions, and results. Okay? Everything starts with a thought. So my thought is today that I'm going to listen and do the exercise that happens presenting, life will be better. If you have that thought will affect an emotion. You're going to feel more hopeful. You cannot have an emotion without a thought. If your thought is, why bother? Your emotion is going to be helpless. If your thought is, this is going to be amazing, your thought will be hopeful. So if you today are going to do this exercise, so initially you're going to say, wow, I'm going to do this. You're going to feel emotionally more charged to do something. Now, if you feel emotionally positive, you're going to take an action. If you feel emotionally negative, you don't take an action. But if you feel emotionally positive, you take an action. If you take an action, you're going to get a result. If you get a result, here's the most important piece. it reinforces the thought that this actually works. Once you see, wow, this works, when your thought gets reinforced, you get even stronger emotions, you take bigger actions, get better results, you get even stronger thoughts, do even bigger, get more action, better results, and this is what's called the success cycle. This is why the rich become richer, get up early, work harder, even though theoretically, the poor should be doing that, but it's not the way it works because they have this cycle working for them. So in order for the cycle to work, you need to reinforce, you need to recognize your success. Don't discount success. Don't say, oh, I didn't make it that big, I didn't achieve that much, so it doesn't count. Because once you do that, if you discount results, you break the cycle. This arrow gets broken. You don't want to break the cycle because if you break the cycle, you got to start over from scratch. You don't want to start over from scratch. You want to use the energy that you had. So recognize every single big result. Don't discount results. That's number one. Recognize results and celebrate results on a regular basis in order to keep it going. That's going to reinforce the behavior. And it also, if you recognize a result, will force accountability because you're aware of what you need to do to be able to make it happen. Okay, so once again, to recap the steps that we went through is here. Number one, understanding the benefits of change, recognizing the fact that I'm losing a third of my life, a third of my year, a third of my performance because I'm not performing the best that I could be, even though I know what I need to do. I don't emotionally feel it. Awareness of the challenge. The problem is that I'm having a hard time getting out of my comfort zone like everybody has. There's lack of balance in my life. So therefore, my wheel's not going as quick as it should go. Clarify desired outcome, not what you, instead of knowing what you don't want, be clarify what you do want, be clear what you want to create, what you need to create. The solution, remember that every discomfort, if you stick with it, will go away. It's a bell curve. You ride it, it goes down on the other side. Remember the piece on the other side, making a small commitment, a teeny thing, but follow it through fully, even though it's small, that will continue, begin the snowball that will continue going further and further. Just don't do it halfway, do it fully. Motivation for change. Remember the price, the pain that you're going to have if you don't follow through and connect with it. So you get yourself motivated to do it. The process of change, which we talked about, is, make sure you commit today to do something. Write it down, commit to it, do it every single day. So you prove it to yourself and you start actually creating change. And then your reinforcement accountability is that you remind yourself and you recognize the end of the week. You celebrate your success, you celebrate your wins, you see it, which creates the accountability. If you didn't, and creates the reinforcement if you didn't, you start getting addicted to that process of seeing your success, celebrating your success, enjoying your success, and moving further and further to be able to create and build your business. If you are interested in the material that I talk about, I do it for free. There's only one social media website that I'm on, which is LinkedIn. I post a 5-minute video every single day on LinkedIn just about these topics, about how to overcome fear. It's free of charge. How to overcome fear. This is what I made my mission in life, and that's what I do. And I would be excited if you followed me, checked it out, shared it with other people. And of course, now I would be more than happy to answer any questions that anybody has. But first, I'd like to turn this over back to Zisha.
Hi, Binyamin, thank you so much. And I'm encouraged that everyone now is 80% improved in their lives and have an opportunity to ask improved questions to Binyamin. Everyone can click on the question and make sure that you hit enter to submit the question.
On the chat.
On the chat.
Do not use the Q&A option, just the chat option.
We do not use the Q&A option, just the chat option. Everyone should be using the chat option.
Did you want to talk about the next webinar? Zisha, you're on mute. Zisha, nobody hears you.
The next topic that we will be discussing on our monthly webinar will be April 9th, and the presenter will be Yehuda Berg, who has an expertise in credit and debt management. You all should see the advertisement there and have received it already last week. We look forward to seeing you there, and I thank you, Binyamin, once again for a wonderful event.
So now everyone could ask questions, and Benjamin will stay on to answer your questions through the chat box.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. And I'll be able to be clearer. And I was going a little bit quick through the process because of the time constraints. But if anybody has a specific question, I'm happy to answer.
Yes,
So
sir. I'm going to go mute in a second, but somebody asked if there's going to be a recording. Yes, today's class was recorded, and everyone that participated will receive a link to be able to watch the rest of the class. You can stay on now and ask Benjamin questions through the chat. Type your questions in the chat, and Benjamin will respond to them.
Okay. I guess I'm going to apologize that I did the information so short because I really wanted to give you a lot of value. There have been times that I presented this over 4 hours. So, worked everybody through every step. But therefore, I sent you out the workbook so you could do this on your own. But for right now, please, one question was, a fear of performing is the same challenge? And of course, the answer is yes. Fear ultimately always boils down to really the same core fears, which is the fear of not being good enough, the fear of not being loved. So that's really the core of all fear. So whether it's fear of performance, fear of rejection, fear of not having enough, fear of anything, it's all underlying the inability to tolerate fear, which if you ride it and you stick with fear, you can overcome any fear. There's no such thing as a fear that could break you or is too hard. If you think of it, in Florida, the reason why the palm trees stay during a hurricane and they don't fall out of the ground is because they bend. Simply, they understand the concept of the bell curve, while oak trees don't do that. And why, if a wind comes in the Northeast, trees crack and break like twigs. Okay, great question. Somebody asked, how do we bring ourselves out of a depression from non-success? Now, the reason is because when we talked about the success cycle, it works both ways. So if your thought is there's nothing I could do to ever perform, and therefore your emotion is depression, you're not going to take any action, and then you're going to not get a result, and that will prove to you that you're useless and reinforce the thought, why bother, which will make you even more depressed, which will make you take less action and get less results. So what you need to do is start turning around that cycle by simply doing a teeny thing. Forget about what you feel, because you're going to habituate to what you feel. Start taking it, do the Pesach Shamacha. Take one thing. I'm going to make one phone call a day. I'm going to have one meeting a day. I'm going to start with a small thing. Do it every single day. You're going to see it'll become easier. It won't take that much from you. Very quickly, you'll be able to double it, triple it, and make it happen. I always say if you double 1, it becomes 2. You double it again, it's 4, 8, 16, 32, 64. In 7 weeks, you're done and you're at your goal of 100%. Okay, so here's another fear. Somebody brought up the fear of making a career change that you may regret. And that's fear because at the end of the day, where you're right now, for whatever reason, is not working. Right? So now the question is, do I stay with the status quo of discomfort, or do I make a career change that I may regret? Now, think about it. What you're worried about is not failing and not making money, because you know you can then pick yourself up and go further. In your question, you're saying you're afraid of making a career change that you will regret. You're afraid of one person, you. You're afraid that you're going to beat yourself up and you're going to make yourself feel bad and hurt yourself. Well, learn how to not do that to yourself by tolerating discomfort. When you beat yourself up and you fight with yourself, most people, the reason why we don't take action is we're not afraid of the loss. We've seen the billionaires fall, trip, lose everything, and pick themselves up again. We're not worried. There's so much opportunity out there. We're worried that we're going to hurt ourselves. We're going to beat ourselves up. We're scared of us. But that's why when you learn how to manage your emotion, you're not afraid of you anymore. Once you're not afraid of you, you could take that risk, because if you fail, you're not going to beat yourself up. You're not going to try to block the pain. All you're going to do is you're going to ride the discomfort, as bad as it is, and come back down to the other side. And then you'll be freed. How do I recommend to actually and practically ride fear when it's there? Great question. And the answer is simply recognize there's no such a thing as a fear of a discomfort that can actually break you in the real world, that can actually crack you, snap you. It doesn't exist. I have a degree in mental health. It doesn't exist such a concept. I mean, unfortunately, I'm going to use an extreme example to make the point, is that a close friend of mine, Yaakov David Klar, who unfortunately has the job of doing the knock-knocks for many years for Chai Lifeline, and it'll just knock on somebody's door and say, unfortunately, 3 of your kids passed away. Somebody's been diagnosed. They don't warn, they don't prepare, they don't do anything. They just drop it out there, and then people ride it. They need to face it, pain, 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 they come down. Just to broaden that, think about the unfortunate Shiva process, the way it's against infinite, common sense. Common sense would say if somebody loses a loved one, they should maybe go away and, for 6 months and then come back 6 months later and deal with the problem. No, but the Torah has a different view. It's sit in the dead man's house, talk about the dead guy, whole day, no distraction, stick with it. And then 3 days later, it comes down and we come back to our baseline. So don't run away from it. Think about it. Don't put away things. Don't avoid. Don't not to look at it. Don't avoid it. Calls. Don't run away from things. Get used to just facing fear, and you'll see anything you face will broaden. You'll be able to face fear in many other areas of your life by realizing that fear doesn't break you. It's discomfort, but actually it goes up. It does go up a little bit, goes up, but then it comes down and breaks. And learning how to do that will help you be able to not be afraid of fear anymore and not be afraid of emotion, and give you the freedom to be able to play out and break out of your comfort zone. So somebody asked the question, how about prioritization? You have a long list to start. What's more important? And the answer is, anybody in the world that achieved big stuff, achieved it in the same 24-hour period that you have to do it. Life's long, days are long, weeks are long. Forget about sitting and thinking about what you should do first, how you should line it up. Just get into the action mode and start doing it. It doesn't matter if it's the most important thing, if it's the less important thing, because remember that when you break out of your comfort zone, it's a circle. When a circle grows, everything grows. If you get yourself to follow through on a diet, or you get yourself to follow through on the gym, or you get yourself to follow through on davening, or you get yourself to follow through to be a better person at home, it doesn't matter. If you're taking action to become better and stronger and breaking through a fear or a discomfort or a barrier, or the comfort zone confined in any area of your life, you're going to be able to break through and be able to do in other areas of your life. It's not just going to be in one area. As you grow, you'll grow more. So just pick something. Pick something now in the next 5 minutes that you can actually do, rather than just saying, okay, I'm going to sit and evaluate and decide which action I should take. It doesn't matter. Commit to lose their pounds. Commit to go to the gym. Commit to do something different at home. Commit to do something special for whoever, in your life for the next 5 to 7 days. Commit to doing any behavior. It doesn't matter whether it's religious, financial, health-wise, in any area of your life. Just do something. Stop evaluating what's small, what's big, because once you get into that mode of doing and not being held back by the discomfort, not being held back by a force of emotion, you're going to be free to be able to do what you want to do. So just don't sit and think about it. Just forward and make it happen. Now, if you want more about this on your own time, you can go again on LinkedIn. It's Benjamin Halpern. I do post it like on I have somebody that posts it on YouTube or whatever. If you go to my website, benjaminhalpern.com, you'll see all the little buttons of the different social media, where else my stuff gets posted. Thanks for the compliment, user. So you can just go on benjaminhalpern.com, you'll see the different things. But mainly I'm on LinkedIn, and I'll be happy to connect with you. And if you send me information as to what you want to hear more about, I'll be happy to spend my 5 minutes that day to share with you more in detail of any of the topics and stuff we discussed today. I want to take this opportunity to thank Zisha and Yeshua for everything and the third organization who I didn't get to speak to, for all that they do on behalf of the community, that they do on behalf of everybody, bringing us great information, bringing us great ideas, bringing us great presenters. It's an amazing service, and I thank everybody for taking advantage of this service and showing them our support for what they do for us, and let them all continue in good health to be able to continue serving us in this amazing way and bring us something that we just can't readily get out there in the world, people that are really out there doing this, that are here to be able to present this. Thank everybody for your time during the day. It says something about you that you took out time from your day to become better, and you got the right attitude, and you're doing the right thing, and may Hashem help you. You should all have massive success.
Binyamin, thank you so much for a wonderful event. And we will see everyone else on April 9th. Thank you very much. Afreilichem Purim.
Thank you.